This is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And this is a special state tournament preview for the Killingly baseball program. And I have my guy on, Ben Desaulnier, who is the head coach of the Killingly baseball. Not only did they win the ECC, but they probably have some of the best swag as far as in Connecticut, starting with Coach D himself. Hey, it's a pleasure to be able to have you on, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on again.
First and foremost, I just got to say, I've had you on. Now this will be the second time. I had Bo on, and just in the conversations with the both of you and being able to talk to you during the season, man, just seeing the success that Killingly had during the regular season, then going into the tournament. Just wow. Wow. That's all I got to say, man. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really great year, obviously. 17-2. I would have to look back to see the last time we won 17 games in the regular season, if it's even ever happened. I honestly don't know. But it's been really fun. Obviously, the ECC tournament run that we just had was something out of a dream a little bit. I mean, that's this kind of stuff that when you're a kid, like that's, winning a championship, winning a conference championship, that's really awesome stuff. I was really happy for the kids, and I mean, it was really fun as a coach, so I can only imagine how fun it was for them.
And and I know when you and I talked, as far as I know, there were some concerns that you had, not so much with the players itself, but just as far as jumping right into the season. I know you talked about, because when I had you on, it was still cold. The offense kind of really wasn't getting going. You didn't know what you had really as far as a lineup. But as the season progressed, it just seems like things just fell into place for you, man. To the point where it was like maybe you had some decisions, both you and your staff, but it just seemed like as games kept going forward, it was just easy for you to, easy for you to say, okay, this is where this player is going to be, this is where this player is going to be, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, we haven't really had to make too many changes as far as lineup goes. I mean, we've had a couple of like shuffles here and there, try some different things out, but honestly, it's one of those things that I knew the guys that were going to help us in the beginning. I mean, we talked about those guys, the Jaworskis, the Chris Jacks, the Nate Keefes, the Jay Grzevitzes, but there's also been a couple guys who like I expected would help us this year, but have exceeded my expectations and have really contributed to having the successful season that we did. Like Chris's brother, Ben Jacks, has had a great year. Trevin Russ, who started the year in the 9-hole, is now our cleanup hitter. Justin Baker. I mean, there's a few guys that Tate Laro, who in the beginning of the year, I wasn't even sure how much he was going to be able to get in the lineup. And every time I put him in the lineup, it seems like he gets a hit or two. So, he's been having a great season, and I'm just really happy that everyone I feel like has bought into their role. And I think that is why, we've had such great chemistry, camaraderie, and, success so far.
Now, how did you, with the success that Killingly was having and did have throughout the regular season, we'll get into the ECC tournament a little bit. How did you keep, as we know, and I know talking with Bo, social media is not huge as far as in Killingly. And trust me, I get that. Blue collar, why be on a computer when you can be outside and be in nature and just enjoy being outside and stuff? Trust me. But seriously though, it makes sense. I wish more kids were like that, because staying inside, you're not getting anything productive, But the question I have for you is, as far as how did you keep these young men leveled and not get too full of themselves? Because as there comes a point where it's like success leads to a big downfall if you get too much of a big head.
I just kept trying to tell them every day that, keep our goals in perspective. Like, where do you want to be? Like, where do you want to get to? When we were at 6-0, and then we were at 8-0, and then we were at 11-0, and it felt like after every game, it was almost like, where do you guys want to take this? Like, where are we going to go with this? Are we just, this train is rolling? And in the beginning of the year, I haven't said it as much now that we're towards the end, but in the beginning of the year, for the first, 10, 15 games, my phrase I used to say to them was, don't rock the boat. Do anything you can to not rock the boat. Keep the boat steady. Keep the boat moving forward. and to their credit, they did a great job with that. We've had very, very minimal distractions, knock on wood, but we've had great health. And I mean, these kids, man, they're great kids, and they bought in and they show up every day. I don't have to worry about them not coming to school or not coming to practice. They want to be here every day. They want to get better every day. They've really bought into wanting to have a special season. And, it's become what it has because of the work they've put in and the buy-in factor that we've had. So, I mean, all the credit is to them, obviously.
It helps you too as a first-year head coach, because obviously you couldn't coach last year because of COVID and the canceling of the season. And I think for you to not have to worry about, as you mentioned, very little off the field problems, not having to worry about so much their attitude or what you would get or not get from them, it allows you, coach, to focus more on the X's and the O's. Okay, who are we playing this day? Okay, this is what we have to do. Maybe we have to maybe focus on base running a little bit more because the catcher doesn't have a good arm, so on and so forth, stuff like that. Do you think because of that positive stuff that you mentioned about the players helped you as a coach and at least made it easier for you in your first season?
I think yes and no. I think at the same time, I was very upfront with them at the beginning about the kind of style we were going to play, and an aggressive style and aggressive fun. What I think is fun, at least, of how to play. We were going to be aggressive on the bases. We were going to be aggressive in counts, especially early in counts with hitting. We were going to try and just work to get many guys on base as possible. I mean, obviously everyone wants to get on base, but it was more going to be like a strategy versus anything else. And I think that they just bought into it right away. And obviously we had early success. So when you have early success, makes it a lot easier when the kids see like, oh, wow, like this works. This style works. The way that we're doing this works. It becomes contagious, and they just want even more, and they were hungry for more. And just little things like we work on base running every single day in practice. And that has truly been probably our biggest strength this year. Offensively, is we take advantage of mistakes, and more so I think than other teams do, which has benefited us. And I mean, again, all the credit goes to those guys. They put in the work every day. They don't complain about it. And the more that we worked on it, we have become so good at taking advantage. It's helped so much.
And with all the success that you had early part in the season, I know you only had a couple losses. I think it was against Woodstock, correct? Or 2 losses?
Yeah, we had a doubleheader at home against Woodstock, and it was just a bad day. We didn't get the bounces. I mean, credit to them. They played well that day. They're a great team too. But it just seemed like they got the bounces they needed and we didn't. And I mean, that's baseball though,
Oh, trust me. I know. I've seen some stuff where I'm like, how did that happen? Like, how did this kid, like, I've seen a player go 0 for 4, hit probably now being, because this was years ago before exit velocity. And I swear the exit velocity had to be like 120 every single swing that he took. And it
Yeah.
was an out. And then you see other players, low exit velocity, get 4 hits. So it's the game of baseball.
Yeah.
But, coach, what part of the season did you feel like, and I know with all the success, the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so on and so forth, before you lost the 2 games against Woodstock, when did you feel like you were comfortable enough where like, okay, this is where I feel like we're hitting our stride at the right time? Because I know sometimes in wins, it can be a little bit tricky because of competition and such.
The game right after the Woodstock doubleheader,
Mm-hmm.
I think we had Putnam at home. Obviously, the Woodstock losses they were killer. They were emotional losses. I was really interested to see how our guys would respond to a little bit of adversity, and it's kind of been a ringing tree for us all year that when we have had adversity, our guys have come back from it. But we hadn't seen anything like losing 2 tough doubleheader games like that, a 1-run game and then another game in extra innings. We played Putnam at home right after, and Bo and Jay weren't eligible because they had both pitched in the doubleheader. Cole Levine pitched. He pitched an outstanding game against Putnam. We had great energy that day. The kids were excited, and I think we won like 10-0 or something, but we jumped out early and we played very, very well. And I think that game specifically was when I was like, all right, you know what? Like, these guys didn't let that one doubleheader get them down. Like, I think we could run the table from here and see how. And a lot of teams on the backside we had already played too, so we had already beaten them once. But I felt confident at that point that, all right, we might be onto something here. Like, this team might be special, being able to bounce back from a tough day like that day was.
In games like that too, you kind of, like you mentioned, you kind of see what your team is made up from on the inside,
Yeah.
because it's real easy when everything's going well. Like I always think of, you know, just in life, a person when everything is going well, they could seem like the best, nicest person that you could ever meet. But then when they hit adversity, if their car breaks, if they have a tough day at work, how are they going to handle that? What's their response? Sometimes you really see a true person when they go through the worst times, and I've kind of taken that into sports because it's real easy for a team to be all positive. Like you think a prime example in baseball, right? When everything's going well, you could do nothing wrong. But then if you go on a losing streak, a player spitting seeds on the field. Oh, it's his fault. That's why the losing streak is happening. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and I think too, like, as coaches, we realize like sports teaches us like life lessons, and I think that's kind of where you were going with that. And being able to respond from a baseball loss, like, some people might just be like, well, you lost a baseball game, like, who cares? But when you're really invested in something, especially as much as these kids are invested, you know, a painful loss can hurt a lot. And I think that, like you said, responding from that, coming back from that, being able to fight through that adversity, that helps you in life, and that helps you with, if bad things happen to you and down the road, non-sports related, like after the playing days are over, knowing that you can respond to come back from something, a bad day or a bad moment even. I think that that's what sports is all about.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, sports is. I feel like whatever sport you play, it teaches you life lessons in more ways than one. We could talk about that. That could be a whole nother podcast, whole nother
Yeah.
episode. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm sure we'll have plenty of those down the road. That's why it's called the summer, where
Yeah.
we can talk about that. You know what I mean? But coach, I kind of want to go into, okay, regular season. You guys are on a high. You've only lost 2 games, and then the ECC tournament comes in.
Mhm.
What were your thoughts? How are you feeling going into that tournament?
Well, I think it started with our last regular season game. We had a really tough game against Plainfield. And Plainfield they had a very good team. And again, another team that I think was underrated. They had a very talented team. We saw a very talented pitcher that day, a lefty, a freshman, and he battled us for like 4 or 5 innings. Jay Gershevitz pitched a great game. At the time we thought that there was going to be 13 teams to qualify for the ECCs. There ended up only being 12 that qualified. So we thought we needed to win that game to secure our first round bye, which in the conference tournament is huge because in the ECC we play 4 days in a row for the conference tournament. So that was a big game for us, and we were able to get it done. It was a heated game, a lot of people there, and going into after we won that game, I just felt like, wow, like, I mean, this is what a great way to roll into the postseason. We got the first round bye. Bo kicked it off with throwing another no hitter against Bacon Academy. And then he followed that up with we ended up having to play a doubleheader on Thursday because of the rain Friday. So we played our semis at 3:15 against Waterford. We beat them, got on the bus, drove to Fitch, and then Cole Levine threw a great game, threw a shutout, complete game shutout. And, we got it done. But it was especially awesome, I think, especially for our guys. They had heard the noise all year about how we hadn't played anybody, blah, blah, blah. And, I think that bothered them a lot. And I think that it bothered them that they knew that we had talented players and that they didn't feel like they were getting the respect that they deserved. And it meant something to them. So it almost became like a team mantra for us throughout the season. And I think that's why the 3 wins against 3 really good baseball programs, Bacon Academy, Waterford, and Fitch. I mean, some of the premier programs in the ECC, was really awesome for our guys. And I was probably the least surprised out of everybody that we got it done, because I knew how good my team was. But I was happy for them that they got to have their moment of recognition and garnering respect from their peers and people around the league for how good they truly are.
I think, looking at kind of that Saturday matchup as far as having to play 2 games, man. I mean, it's not so much that you were staying at the site. You had to win the first game against Waterford. Then you had to get, travel, and like just thinking about that. It's one thing to play a game, have some time to stay on the field, and your focus can kind of stay there, but to then have to go travel and then have to stay focused before going, like, I just think of that, man. These are young, young ball players, and having to deal with all that and to play as well as you did in the championship, that in and of itself too deserves a lot of recognition as well, because that's a lot harder than people think.
Well, and I think that people look at the score of the Waterford game too. I mean, we ended up winning 13-2, but if you were at that game, that was not the story of the game. I think we trailed 2-1 heading into the 5th inning. So it was a really great baseball game. Grishevitz worked out of some tough situations. We made a couple of errors behind him. He was able to battle through it, got a couple of big punch outs when he needed them. He got out of a bases loaded jam in the 4th. And then we just started tacking on runs. We got 1 run in the 4th, I think, to make it 2-1. And then I think we put up a 6th spot in the 5th, which really blew it open. But even at that point, like, that was not a comfortable 7-2 is not a comfortable lead against Waterford. Like, anyone that played Waterford all year knows that they score runs in bunches. So we knew that I basically did not feel comfortable until the lead had blossomed to, like, once it got to like 9 or 10 runs, I felt like I had breathing room, but still you never feel comfortable when you play a really good team like that. So it was great to get that lead and, win that game. But that was the first thing I said to my guys right after. It was like, all right, you beat Waterford. That was great. We're going to the finals. Like, that's awesome. But don't be happy with that. Like, we're here, so might as well win it now. Like, and we went there with focus. It was the first really big game, I think, that Cole had pitched all year against a really, really, really tough opponent. We'd normally try to line up like Bo to pitch again, or Jay to pitch against some of the tougher ones. So I was really proud of him, that what the response that we got from him and the outing that we got from him, that was the best game he pitched in his life. And I had all the confidence in the world in him, and I wouldn't have wanted anyone else to take the ball. So I was really happy for him too, to have that really nice senior moment under the lights at Fitch in the finals.
And when the out was recorded, I mean, were you, I know the players were, jumping, and as they should. I mean, it's Killingly having by far probably the best season ever in program history, if not close to it. So, like, kind of, were you like with them as far as, or was it kind of like you kind of stood back and stayed with your staff and let the players do their thing first?
I mean, it was definitely a relief. My assistant coach, Joe Ketchaputi, he made a joke that I was burning holes in the dugout ground from my pacing. I just kept pacing for the last like 3 innings. Again, Fitch, another great team, and we had a 1-run lead for like 3 innings. So it was like holding on to your breath, waiting for someone to drive a ball in a gap and change the game, But when the final out was recorded, I mean, obviously I was really excited. I mean, the first guy I hugged, my pitching coach, Drew. I mean, that's my childhood best friend. So that was a really cool moment. Mm-hmm. And then Trevor, Laro, and Joe, they've been there even when they were there before I was there, but they've been a big part of what we've done. So that was really special. And I let the kids have their moment, obviously, like let them celebrate together. But, just after that, like getting hugs from them too. And just that moment, you just can't put into words like how special that is. That moment when you share with players that you've put so much into a season and so much towards a common goal. And when you reach that goal, I mean, it's just like, that's one of the best feelings in the world as a coach, when you get a hug from one of your players and like, it's like a thank you kind of moment, But So that was really special.
I saw the pictures on Facebook, how you were getting interviewed and, the big smile. And, I kind of just saw that and I was like, this dude's famous right now. He's getting all the attention, but deservedly so. Bo was getting, everybody seemed like they were getting their couple minutes. And I feel like for a team that is, like we talked about, and aside, it's on a part of the state where a lot of people may not know, and not big on media, not big on social media. There's not a lot of coverage as far as the media itself. So to get that recognition, it helps not just now, but in the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm trying to build a program that will sustain itself and that will be a program that's competitive in the ECC for well, hopefully the whole time that I'm here, however long that is. So this was obviously setting the bar very high in year one. And you're not going to win the ECC championship every year. That's just, those are special seasons. But I am really proud of those guys for setting that bar high, and just like knowing that they'll always be part of the groundwork that was laid for the program under my leadership, at least. So I guess that was cool. And I'm glad that the kids, like I talked about earlier, got their recognition and their moment in the sunlight, because they really do deserve it. I mean, we really do have a good team, a special team this year, and that was a really, really awesome moment.
Hey, if you keep having seasons like this, I mean, the LSU job, I saw that their head coach is he's retiring at the end of the season, so you never know.
Yeah, I feel like I got a long way to go for that, but
hey, you never know, man. It's a great thing what's going on at Killingly, man. Hey, I got a couple more questions for you real quick before I let you go. Looking at this state tournament in Class M, obviously you're playing against Tolland, who I had on their head coach yesterday, Coach Deach, good friend of mine, just like yourself. I really have a lot of respect for the both of you. And I was telling him yesterday, it's hard because I'd love to see both of you win and go deep into this Class M tournament, but only one team can win. But Tolland is like a tale of two teams. They started out then they won 5 of 6. Then they were sluggish at the end, and they were able to win their last game to get to the state tournament. They're a scary team because they're young. If things are going well, then, as you know, young teams, they ride on a high. But when things are bad, it seems like it's a trickle-down effect. It leads to like errors, quick at-bats, so on and so forth. So what have the conversations been like with you and the team about your first-round matchup?
Well, I've told them that Tolland is not. I wrote when I gave them their scouting report the day after the finals, and we talked about them. I more wanted to get their attention because Tolland is not your normal 8-12 team. I think obviously the CCC is a difficult baseball conference. I mean, they played about as tough of a schedule in that conference as you can. East Catholic twice. I mean, they played East Catholic tough, who I think everyone considers to be the cream of the crop in the whole state, no matter what the class. So I think they had a 7-3 lead in like the 5th inning of that ball game. I mean, so obviously their Tolland is a great team. Jared Wilhelm, I think you pronounce his last name. He was a game time preseason top 25 guy. He's probably a surefire all-state guy. They got guys who can hit the baseball. I mean, I think that's probably their strength based off of what I've seen, what I've heard, people I've talked to. We're going to be ready though. I think that it's good to have an easier first round matchup, I guess, to try to set up your pitching. But the way that we're playing right now and the way that the teams that we've played, I feel like it'll be good to see a good test round one. And I think it'll get us going forward with the teams that we'll have to play in the next couple of games on our side of the bracket, especially. It'll hopefully prepare us, but we can't look past Tolland because I told the guys the other day, they are good enough to beat us. It's baseball. In basketball, the 8-12 team plays the 18-2 team and basically has less than a 1% chance of winning that game. In baseball, that's just not the case. Nate Bose, Evan Albert, Ethan Bonadies. I mean, these guys, they've been consistent all year. So they know, my guys at least know that this is not a team that we can take lightly. And our focus in practice the last 2 days, despite being inside because of the weather, has been very, very good. And I think that is because of the respect they have for the Tolland baseball program and the respect they have for some of the players that I just mentioned.
Yeah, man. You know what? I wish you nothing but the best of luck as far as throughout the rest of, hopefully, again, like I said, I wish Talon and Killingly could both go far into the Class M tournament, but only one can. But hey, whoever wins,
It's the Chris Saunders Super Bowl, Talon versus Killingly. It's
yeah, right. Who would have thought?
I know you were excited when you saw that matchup come out. You can't lie to me. I know you were excited.
Oh, 100%. I mean, when I saw that, I actually texted because I didn't have your number at the time.
Yeah.
I texted Coach Deach and I was like, I bet you nobody in the state of Connecticut is going to be either covering, let alone give as much publicity to the Killingly Talon matchup more than me. Nobody.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you talk about two teams, Killingly in the ECC and Talon in the CCC, two teams that barely get as not enough attention. Killingly now should because of what happened. Talon, I think, is going to be very competitive for years to come. And I just feel like this is one of those games that if you can watch it, enjoy it because you're going to see a team in Killingly that has so much talent for now and years. Same thing with Talon. I feel like this is a matchup if you both stay in Class M this could be a reoccurring thing, man, if everything goes well in the future.
Yeah, you never know. And obviously, I know Coach Deach is a great coach. I've known about him for a while through AAU and just high school baseball around the state. I believe he coached at Hamden for a while, Team Connecticut baseball. So I know that he's a good coach. I've seen a few things he's posted on Twitter, videos and stuff that he's shared, and I got a lot of respect for him. And I know that he's gonna run a first class operation. He's gonna bring his team in ready to go on Tuesday. So I just hope that our guys are ready to go as well, and hopefully that's a great first round matchup.
Hey, you better let me know how it goes.
We'll do.
Thanks for coming on, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks always.
That'll wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. From RCT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm on journey to find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.